Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated, continuing on with A Very Irish Suzerain, where Anton Rain is going to be inspired by the recent election of Catherine Connolly as President of Ireland. We're going to look to keep Sordland not isolated, but to kind of play in the middle of the two major powers. We're not really going to commit in either direction, keep ourselves neutral, and we're not going to completely abandon the free market, but we are going to be neoliberal skeptic. So we're going to favour, I think, the privatisation of important industries, which is going to cause some trouble, but we're probably going to leave the free market to do what it wants. Other than that, at the end of the last episode, we had our economics meeting. I believe today we will be dealing with a briefing on the current political situation. So Peter Vectrin arrived a couple of minutes early and sat across from me. He was struggling to hold back a smile. He's delighted. We've just won. We won. We did it. Finally, those games we played with the media have paid off. Peter's eyes sparkled. The strain of the past few months had put a damper on his usual rakish charm, the devil. But today he was looking and acting more like his old self. He loosened his tie and undid. Peter, please behave yourself. Enjoying the new secretary I picked up for you. Thought you'd appreciate her gorgeous set of talons. Peter, you devil. It's a shame the rest of your staff aren't as easy on the eyes. He gestured to the slight paunch that protruded over his waistband. But hey, back in university, did you ever imagine that we would be sitting here in the Maroon Palace? We have to celebrate this great victory. So, we could get our hands on something special. An Earl Leroy Maroon 30-year-old. So this is the whiskey that's made in the Earl Leroy region. The Inaugural Ball. Yeah, we won't go drinking on the job just yet. Looking forward to it. Evelyn hopes to congratulate you in person. Good to know. It's been some time since the last time I saw her. I'm sure the kids would love to see their Uncle Peter for the first time as Vice President. That is great to hear. It's crazy how fast the two have grown up. You're a good father. Peter had a wistful look in his eyes. He and Evelyn had never been able to have children of their own. During the campaign, the opposition had floated the rumour that he'd fathered illegitimate children during his wilder years, but it had never been substantiated. So the door swung open and Lucien Galad, my chief strategist, so we might be able to get a picture of him in the United Sordland Party like everybody else. He was advisor to the Interior Minister during Tarquain Soll's final presidential term. Not too sure what he was doing then during the regime of our predecessor. Probably kept his head down, so he's glad to be back in the centre of power. After briefly surveying the room from wall to wall, he sat down, poured a glass of water, and opened his briefcase in a series of quick, graceful movements. He seems professional. I'm glad we're not drinking whiskey in front of him. Gentlemen, the toll case clock in the room struck 3 o'clock. Jesus, try and say that like 5 times fast. Damn, you're exactly on time. Hello, Peter. Lucien then turned towards me. He very slightly bowed his head. Let's not waste time, Lucien. Glad to see you, Lucien. It's a privilege to be here, sir. Lucien spoke in soft, clipped tones that immediately drew your attention towards what he had to say. Peter and I waited for him to proceed. Let's start by evaluating our current situation. So we're going to be probably looking at... I think the global situation is going to come up here, and we're going to be looking at maybe keeping things, like I said, some way kind of neutral between the major powers. And there's possibly also going to be a constitutional reform. The people, they yearn for the economy more than the constitution, but they blame the system for their problems. People are losing their trust in our democracy. Why do you think radicals like Bernard Circas are becoming more popular? Everyone's expecting us to bring the change the last government did not. So he is a swordish poet, novelist, short story writer, and communist. in that order. Those are his priorities. He is acclaimed for his lyrical flow, and was regarded to be the leader of the Swordish avant-garde. Oh, those devils. So he returned to Sordland following the departure of Tarquain Soll, organised strikes against Swordish government's failure to include amnesty laws, and started to become a popular figure in Swordish politics. He ran as an independent in the 53 general elections and became the first communist to be elected to the Grand National Assembly of Sordland. Franz Richter, leader of the Reformists, believes that true change can only be accomplished by transferring some of our powers to the Assembly. I will move into the details of their demands shortly. I believe he took over the People's Freedom and Justice Party during the run-up to the last election. I think there was some argy-bargy, some boldness going on within the party, and he took over. I think that we would agree with that policy of transferring some powers to the Assembly. So if this is a kind of a presidential-dominated form of politics, I think that would be in line with our policies. I agree with the Reformists. Our responsibility is to democratize our broken system. We need to listen to the people if we want to serve this country. If we lose power, we won't be able to execute the changes or the people that we need for the good of the country. So the people don't actually care about the Constitution. So, strangely enough, for the good of the people, we're going to agree with the Reformists. That's exactly what we campaigned for, a true change that will move the country forward. Lucian says that we will need many allies against the old guard in the government. So they are a group of influential individuals within the government. So it's more an actual cadre within the government itself. So they took root during the Soll era, functioning as a security mechanism to maintain control and stability within the government. However, the shroud of secrecy remains intact, as there have been no public admissions or definitive evidence to confirm the identities of its alleged members. The enduring ambiguity ensures the Old Guard remains a subject of intrigue, conjecture, and controversy within Sordland's political landscape. So it'll be interesting to see who in our government is part of that bloc. So Richter managed to persuade many members of the Assembly to give their support for drafting a new constitution. Reformist politicians are quickly increasing in number. While the reformist wing inside our party is still a minority, they could have a tripartisan majority in the Assembly, especially if they unite under Franz Richter. So the reformists aren't wrong to agree that we need change, but we should be in charge. Mr. Richter could be a potential ally in our goal to maintain a majority in the Assembly. Our party must fall in line with our position. We can't have a strong divide. They aren't wrong to agree that we need change, but what we need is a different form of the same thing. I think we're going to build a broad alliance with Mr. Richter. He's definitely key in this, says Lucian. Peter says the reformist demands are clear. They want to limit the president's veto powers, ensure that the Supreme Court is independent, and take away the court's right to vote on constitutional amendments. We need a proper balance of power. We must listen to their demands. Otherwise, we are no different from previous administrators. I won't allow them to influence me. The first two are kind of interesting. We need a proper balance of power. I would agree with that, but we also have to listen to their demands. I think this is more, we just need to agree with people who think differently to us, as opposed to I support them avowedly. I agree, we can't ignore the winds of change, after all. The Old Guard will do its best to preserve the Constitution. Chief Justice Hawker, of course, obviously, and his allied judges have a great influence over the Supreme Court, which will be tough to break. The court also has the final say over constitutional legislation. Without their approval, we cannot even change it. So we'll need a comprehensive bill to balance the power structure more fairly. We must break the power of the Supreme Court one way or another. I'd rather not go against them. The risks are too high. I think we're going to have to face a challenge against the Supreme Court, and this is more De Valera than it is Catherine Connolly. De Valera didn't necessarily face down the Supreme Court, but there were a number of problems with the courts, we'll say, in the 1930s, and so De Valera had carried out a half-ton of constitutional reforms, and then slap bang in the middle of the 1930s, there were a couple of court cases which brought into question the legality of his changes, so he scrapped the entire constitution and put a new one in place. So we will try and do the same. We will break the power of the Supreme Court and push through our changes and agenda. They have too much power over Swordish politics. We need to take away their vote in constitutional legislation. It is absurd that they get to vote for bills when they aren't even elected. Looks like we've many challenges ahead. We cannot allow obstructionists to exist. Execute them all. We can't underestimate the situation. We have challenges. We can figure it out. Our party still holds 130 out of 250 seats in the Assembly. We've got the power, by not by much. That's a tight margin. However, to reform the Constitution, we must receive a 2/3 majority in the Grand National Assembly, which is 166 votes, and a simple majority in the Supreme Court. That equates to 6 votes. So we have the Grand National Assembly. It's led by the Speaker of the Assembly, Gloria Tory, oh Jesus, the Tories, who represents the Conservatives within the United Sordland Party. And then we have the Supreme Court. I'm sure we'll see. Oh boys, look at that. Sticking daggers through the crown. That's what you want in the Supreme Court. I presume we'll see the members of that, will be introduced to the members of that as time goes on. After we have settled on how to proceed, we will need to talk with other party figures. Our first goal must be to get the 150 signatures needed to start the process. Following the green light from the USP, we will reach out to other party leaders to see if they would back our draft. The first step is to convince the justices of the court. The entire process will take a long time, but we must start working with a reform committee to evaluate all possibilities for a new constitution as soon as possible. I would have thought that you might have tried to push it through the Parliament first of all, and then kind of present it to the courts. And if the courts rejected it, I mean, it's a clear disavowal of the will of the people. And it acts as a kind of a propaganda victory for you in showing just how undemocratic the control of the Supreme Court is. Or maybe they don't care. They don't care to be seen as anti-democratic. Also, how exactly do you get on the Supreme Court? Can we stuff it with our own... Put Peter on there. We will write a more democratic constitution with the reformists. A new constitution should give the president wide-ranging powers to lead Sordland into the future. We could work with the old guard. We will write a more democratic constitution with the reformists. That's what we've been preparing for internally. Don't forget that promise is what got us elected. What promise? When did we promise? I can't remember what I promised. That was weeks ago, man. The key thing here is we'll be strengthening the power of the Assembly, which we already lead with a majority. Peter nodded in agreement. Yes, the divisions of power need to be rebalanced for a better Sordland. According to the initial draft we made with the reformists, there are 2 changes to the Constitution that are not open for discussion. First, the Supreme Court will no longer vote on constitutional amendments. Yes. Second, the President's absolute veto will be taken away. This can be replaced with a limited veto system by fixing the current loopholes. I have no problem with these clauses. Let's work with the reformists. Yes, sir. Lucian nodded. We will form a reform committee, together with all parties, and start reaching out to all the stakeholders in the Assembly and the court for a new constitution. And then we will circle back. Once we've gotten the stakeholders, we'll circle back. By later in the year, we should have an idea of the reform contents and what the other parties want. Lucian took notes. And we must be aware of the Lotharberg group. The oligarchs convene under this organization to influence economic policies. Conrath, Caranti, led it for a long time before falling ill. The new leader is Mr. Walter Tusk. Any relation to Elon Tusk? He's generally regarded as the leader of the Lotharburg group. How does he make his money? Steel. Oh, and he owns the Economist newspaper as well. My favorite newspaper. They love me. Those guys absolutely love me. So is this the Bilderberg group? Due to the influential nature of the organization and the privacy of their affairs in the eyes of the public, theories have sprung up that the future of Eastern Mercopa is decided at these conferences. They have a giant wooden statue of an owl, and they pray to it. So is this a global, there we go, private non-government organization which assesses the economic conditions of Sordland and the globe, but I presume that it contains groups from around the globe, if not at least around the region. Divils. According to reports, some members of the National Business Council are in their pockets. Tusk and the group will surely try to bribe us in exchange for special economic protections. So we have the Lotharburg group, which is made up of oligarchs, led by Walter Tusk, and then we have the National Business Council, which is an official government structure, which includes most of the leading business leaders of Sordland. It is led by Michael Éamon, representing the private sector, and Simone Hall, representing the state sector. Oh, Jesus. Divils, the lot of them. I want to work with them anyway. The new administration will be open to talk to businessmen. I won't be bought. It won't happen. I will enter a dialogue with them eventually. We need to be diplomatic. We won't let the privileged, greedy, and snobby capitalists run the country. It's going to be one or three, I should say. I want to work with them anyway. The new administration will be open to talk to businessmen. We can't shut down completely. We're going to go for a planned economy, or we're going to go for privatization of important state industries. State services. But we're not exactly going for like full-scale planned economy or anything like that. I will enter a dialogue with them eventually. We need to be diplomatic. Wise approach. It's good to understand and see if we can reach a middle ground. Lucian looked at Peter. As far as I know, Conrad's son, Marcel, has strong ties to this group. His influence could definitely be an asset for us, but I'm sure he'll want something in return. I am aware of Mr. Caranti's wide network. That could come in handy. The group's influence is an important force, one that we should use to our administration's advantage. That group is dependent on our economic policies. They can't move a finger without us. Or Tusk is heading the group. We should make sure he is on our side. I will go with the first one. We just need to be careful with him. He looks like the lesser evil, but it could very quickly turn out to be the other way round. Considering that his father is the public face of the group, maybe that's the way we should have gone. We need to tread carefully on all sides with all power players to survive our term. I need to underline the seriousness of the situation. The military and the general staff are a powerful element in the state, and as history tells us, a dangerous one too. We do have some room to make structural changes, by reducing their budget for example, but it's quite limited. We have all our options here. We haven't had any military argy-bargy in Ireland in a good while. After the Civil War in 23, there was there was hints of a mutiny in 24, as the army was downsized, and some people on the victorious pro-treaty Free State side felt that the army wasn't doing enough to realise the goals of Michael Collins, and they actually reached out to the defeated anti-treaty side to see would they join them in overthrowing the government, and the anti-treaty side wanted nothing to do with it. And then in 31, when it became clear that Fianna Fáil were going to win the elections, Eoin O'Duffy, the leader of the Garda Commissioner, the head of the Irish police force, started checking if people in the army would support a coup to keep the Cumann na Gael party in power. So that's the last time we've had major shenanigans. Major military shenanigans. The best type of shenanigans. I want to receive the advice of the military before making my mind. I don't want to die in prison. Like Arthur S. Whiskey. So that's... is it David Whiskey? His father? With the Rumburg threat on the horizon, we can't reduce our defense capability and anger our general staff. The military has been nothing but a burden on our society. We should do something drastic like cutting their funding. Oh no. So I don't think we'd go for cutting funding. I want to receive the advice of the military before making up my mind. It is sound to listen to them, but they have very biased and narrow opinions. Nationalism clouds their minds. General Kruger is a spectre of the past. So Vulcan Kruger, one of the key supporters of Tarquain Soll during the 30s and 40s, became chief of the armed forces in 45, becoming the oldest person to hold that title. So he supported Lutherans' military coup, but later turned against him. After Lutherans' mass executions in 28, he was among the group of officers who organised under Colonel Soll in the Sordish Civil War. A defence minister, Joseph I know him. I know that devil. Is more loyal to us compared to Kruger. A fact that obviously can change with our actions. Either way, I see a potential rift between the two, since they are clearly of different minds. Lancia was also on Soll's side. I think we were on Soll's side. He was a critic of Alfonso's policies. He gave his support to Anton Rain and lobbied for... I'm Anton Rain. Lobbied for major conservative support in the 53 elections for the USP. So we could potentially see... try and elevate Lancia. If we act strongly against the military, both of those guys will unite against us. I agree with Lucien. We need to tread carefully here. Lucien looked at his watch. Well then, gentlemen, precisely 30 minutes. This concludes our political briefing for today. Our next meeting will be about the media strategy. Talk to you soon. Bye. Lucien and Peter bid their farewells, and left. A mysterious amount of smoke was rising far away on the horizon. Ooh, how suspicious. Right, we have a good chunk of stuff to deal with. Economic stability, it still hasn't gone nowhere. We have the news. So fire strikes Hull Sword State University Archive. Oh no, they're shelling the forecourts. Reporters on the scene have relayed that the event occurred in the evening, with multiple staff of the facility being transported to hospital with severe burns, but no deaths occurred. And there is the Committee for Reforms under Gloria Tory, so I'm sure we'll be hearing a good bit about the fire engulfing a significant part of the academic administration building. It was burning away for 8 hours. The economist Alfonso abandons Lotharberg's exclusive conclave. So in a stunning development, former president and current chairman of Gazam, Ewald Alfonso, has announced his departure from the exclusive Lotharberg group. His decision has been fueled by a... fueled, Gazam, I get it. By a growing disillusionment with the interests of the secretive organization. Alfonso has been quoted saying he's intent on charting his own course away from Lotharberg. He's burning a good chunk of bridges, by the looks of it. The National League starts season. So FC Gelsord. Hell's bells, there is some amount of work gone into creating this world. They've even gone and created... Look at all these teams. I wonder, is there a like a championship history somewhere of all the winners? Support grows for the campaign finance bill. We have the Radical. The ism incident. Oh no, there's been an incident with some ism. So it gives a fresh perspective on the bloody incident of 1933. So it was a protest that occurred in 33. It is largely regarded as one of the foundational movements of the Bludish movement, or the foundational moments, the Soll Dam project. It was a solution to the energy problems. The entire group of protesters was killed that day by the group of soldiers who were ordered by Tarquain Soll himself. So there's protesters against the construction, and Soll ordered, basically sent in the army. And now we have a movement called the Bludish Freedom Front, based in the regions of Sordland and Wayland. So that would be to our kind of southwest. I know the difference. And then Rizia. Oh God, no, Jesus. Our foreign policy analysts, who are reviewing the recent aggressive military and diplomatic developments of Rumburg, have come to the conclusion that it's highly likely that Rumburg will keep trying to push further south, threatening the territories of Sordland, Wayland, and possibly Agnolia. The annexation of Dome many decades ago was just the beginning. Rumburg seems to be on a quest to secure all strategic resources in East Mercopa. We have an overview of our changes. So there's been some political changes. Constitution amendments require Assembly and Supreme Court. So according to Article 5 of the Constitution, amendment may be proposed by members of the Assembly with at least 150 signatures, a 2/3 majority vote in the Grand National Assembly, and a simple majority vote in the Supreme Court is required for the amendment. We have this term honorary membership. A member of honor is I think a for life member of the Parliament, has absolute immunity, permanent member of the Grand National Assembly, entitled to a security team. They are eligible to live in a special private residence provided by the state for free. The only member of honor is Tarquain Soll. The justices also have immunity, I presume unlimited presidential terms at the moment, and presidential decrees, which cannot contradict the Constitution and are subject to judicial review. So I've just given a quick look through some of the situations for the various tabs that we have here. Hell's bells, things are not looking good. Military interference, we have court backlogs, we have low women's rights, weak transport, unemployment crisis, tax evasion, we have overburdened welfare system, corruption, illegal immigration, organised crime. But we have experienced diplomats, so that's not too bad, even though we're going to be invaded. So, and we have a lack of allies as well. Hell's bells, things are not looking great at the moment. We've received a report from the police on the Hull-Sword State University fire. It indicates a near to complete destruction of employee records from 1890 until now, along with original copies of internationally recognised academic research, has all been destroyed. The extent of the damage is worse than expected. We're also told that people's views on the need for democratic reform in the government structure has changed over the last decade, and that it is estimated that 55% of the population supports the reformist ideas. I think we were told that they cared more about the economy than the Constitution. But as Lucien Gilade promised, we now have a meeting with our media team on media strategy. So Lucien and Peter have arrived in the office to talk about recent developments and media strategy. They both took their seats across from me. Lucien put on his reading glasses and quickly went over some documents. Peter turned to Lucien and nodded. "Greetings, gentlemen. I have just received further information from the Interior about the sudden fire that broke out at the Hull-Sword State University archives nearby. Tell me more." The initial reports from the Hull-Sword police chief indicate a potential arson case. In accordance with protocol, the Swordish Intelligence Directorate has been called. So secret, they don't even have an entry. We can't click on them. That's how secret they are. Is the SID really necessary for this? Why would anyone hit the archives of a university in the first place? I see no logical motive there. It seems like the chief suspects, the chief suspects foreign sabotage. They informed us that a large section of the archive has been destroyed. It included tens of thousands of globally recognized research documents in original by the great thinkers of our people. It's a shame so much knowledge was lost. Back to Peter's point. If this was arson, what could the motive have been? We need to support our education system to make new discoveries for the future. I suppose, yeah, we can't. There's no point crying over burnt milk, so yeah, we're going to have to look to the future. It is a shame, and I would like to know what the motive for this attack was. Preserving our knowledge is as important as expanding on it. It's interesting that the employee records have been destroyed as well. Luckily, most originals have copies in the other universities and some international libraries. The first edition of my favourite book, The Geopolitics of Sordland by Herman Equa, was destroyed too. He gets an entry. Born in 1880. Lucian, I'll have to borrow a copy from you sometime. But later, not now. Because it sounds boring. Maybe it was just a freak accident. We do have the copies of most important works, so no single fire can eradicate our knowledge. I see no point in destroying employee records either. More importantly, Lucian mentioned that Marcel Caranti contacted him. The Carantis have always been known as one of the richest and most influential families in Sordland. Marcel Caranti was no exception. He was the oldest son of Caranthi, the industrialist and media mogul who founded Haas, the richest man in the entirety of Sordland. At the heart of Sordland conglomerate, a multi-industry corporation worth tens of billions of SAR, and is part of the Big Four, Tipperary's Big Four? Oh no, the four largest companies in Sordland. And his eldest son, Marcel, has been the rising star of the conglomerate and potential candidate for CEO. He has offered to meet with you, Mr. President. What does he want? Why is Corinth sending his son? Why should I meet with him? What does he want? After the passing of his father, may he rest in peace, Marcel aims to become... He's not dead yet though, is he? He aims to become the next CEO of the Haas conglomerate. He mentioned a productive collaboration. So I think it would make sense. Is he dead? No, he's still alive. He is the CEO. So yeah, it would make sense to begin prepping the ground for the next generation. And if we have, potentially if we have 2 terms in office, then Corinth might be preparing his son to, deal with the government and deal with the future of the state. They are a powerful and influential media conglomerate to start with. They own the Sordland Today newspaper, the Sordish Broadcasting Corporation, the S, which means it would be wise to have them on our side. Sorry for interrupting. What does this productive collaboration entail? Let's consider our options first. No need to be hasty. I think it is important to keep big business on side to show that we're not a threat to big business, but that doesn't mean that big business is going to be in a position to be exploitative. We'll consider our options. There's no need to be hasty. I agree. We need to be careful. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to determine our general approach to media. Ban it. Shut it all down. Get rid of it all. Stop the AI slop. I'm no media expert, but Lucian made some very interesting arguments at the preparation meeting yesterday. 2 ways that we can approach the media. One of them is by influencing it, which has clear advantages. The other is keeping it independent. I would imagine we're going to go for an independent media. Catherine Connolly would say independent media. Éamon de Valera would say independent media and then create his own newspaper. The media must be independent. Ideally, yes, but an unpopular leader will not be able to pass even the easiest reforms. It is of utmost importance to maintain public popularity and avoid any damaging scandals or mistakes. I must stress one thing, Mr. President. The more people we have supporting our agenda, the more we can accomplish. With someone on our side in an influential media organization, I thought it was is, With someone on our side in an influential media organization, we can do this very easily. I see what you're getting at. I share your opinion. I concur. Even if we don't use it, we should be able to have control over it. You both are aware of my certain expertise with public opinion swaying. I will make sure the media is on our side. 2 knocks are heard on the door. Come in. Livia Suno, my new secretary, entered the office. This is the lady with the fantastic talents that Peter, there we go, that Peter was telling us about, I assume. She began serving as personal secretary in Rain's office at the Maroon Palace, having first been assigned to assist Peter Vectrin. Her dark curls bounced as she crossed the room to my desk. She spoke with a slight lilt in her voice. Excuse me, Mr. President. Mr. Gilead's secretary has been calling me and wanted me to relay a message. Marcel Caranti, the new CEO for Haas Conglomerate, is on the line for Mr. Gilead. Is he the new CEO? Well, the ball is in our court now. Would you like to talk to him, sir, or would you like me to? When in the name of God did he become the CEO? As his father, it looks like his father died in the middle of our conversation. It looks like he really did die when Lucian said, God rest him, or whatever. You go ahead. So he rang for Gilead so he can talk to Gilead. Right away, sir. Connecting the call to line 1. We're not going to show ourselves to be too desperate. Olivia left the room, and the phone started ringing. Lucian picked it up. A few minutes passed as the two talked over the phone. Good news indeed. Congratulations, Mr. Caranti. Thank you for contacting me about this. We will talk later. Lucian put down the phone. What was so important that he couldn't wait? He was just elected CEO by the board of directors. He offered a partnership deal regarding his media branch. He is inviting us to his resort near Conriath for the meeting. Third largest city in the Greater Hullsword region. It was nearly destroyed in the Great Fire of Conriath because of the Valslandian navy attack in which the entire Swordish fleet was sunk, and we've never forgiven them for it. And the hills surrounding Conriath are full of luxury housing, bought by the elites of the capital. Well, it's a good place to go, so then. We'll head out there. The board has decided rather quickly. It seems that gave him the confidence to approach us again. He is going to offer a real deal and now has the power of the conglomerate too. The choice is up to you, Mr. President. I can set up the meeting soon. Yeah, what's Peter's opinion? I have to say I'm torn. If he has become the CEO, then he has enormous influence now. On the other hand, do we want to privately meet with someone we don't fully know? Well, that's how we meet friends, Peter. That's how we make friends. The meeting would help us figure him out. We could still say no to whatever he offers. Arrange the meeting with Mr. Caranti. I'll set things up right away. Expect a worthwhile meeting next month. It's settled then. Looking forward to next month. I wonder if he has a pool. Lucian looked at his watch. It appears we're done for today. We will continue where we left off later. Thank you for your time. See you soon, gentlemen. Lucian and Peter gathered their documents and promptly left my office. We were already getting the attention of key figures, and potentially dangerous ones. Well, there we go. Conrath Caranti has passed away. I knew something strange was going on in Heart of Sordland. Interesting that The Economist hasn't bothered to post about its dead owner. There's the suspicious fire. Several academians, including Herman Aquea, have stepped forward. So he's still, I was wondering, was he still alive after writing that book? Gazcom hires Freeze amid economic strains. And there's a glamorous inaugural ball. That's the big news. To hell with important industrialists dying. To hell with the start of the league season. There's a big ball that we're all going to. We now have 2 regions lit up with things for us to take a look at. We could invest in mega infrastructure in Lackavin. So its GDP is 83 billion, which puts it first. It has People's Freedom and Justice Party mayor. It's an industrial centre. And it's the gateway, as it is one of the largest trade ports and hubs of commerce in eastern Mercopa. I believe it lost its stance as the biggest, or it was heavily knocked down of recent. So the Ministry of Economy has put forward 2 bold plans for mega infrastructure projects that would help with the economic recession in the long term. Investing in projects of this scale would take up some portion of our budget, but could prove worthwhile if accomplished successfully. Invest in a mega infrastructure project minus 1 government budget. We have 7. We will devote 1 budget. 1 full budget. Now, the other major problem that we're facing at the moment, and we have been warned about it, is we have fluctuating energy prices. So that is something that we're going to need to look at. We will need to save some money in the hopes. I know there was talks about maybe, I think, a dam in this region. That energy production is decreasing, so it might need refurbishment. So that's something that might pop up at some stage. The Campaign Finance Bill. Section 1 of this bill stipulates a significant change in the methodology of public funds allocation to political parties. The new measure replaces the previous system based on the number of votes won in the general election with a system reliant on the proportion of seats secured by a political party in the Assembly. Section 2 sets out the annual financial allocation to political parties at 500,000 ren per member, or per each member of Assembly. This shift ensures the financial support from public funds aligns more closely with a party's representative influence within the legislative body. Section 3. A consequential effect of these amendments will effectively lead to a substantial increase in the election budget for the USP and a minor augmentation for other parties present in the Assembly. That's purely consequential. Who knew that this would happen? I didn't. This restructuring of funding fosters a more proportional representation of party presence within the Assembly. Section 4 highlights an important consequence of this reallocation. Parties that do not meet the 10% election threshold will see their public funding effectively curtailed. This measure ensures that public resources are concentrated towards parties with a significant representation in the Assembly. Other than Part 4, I have no major complaints. Is 10% a bit high? So instead of the number of votes, it's going by the number of seats, which also maybe isn't great. We will absolutely 100% sign it. So I think overall, maybe it wasn't a great idea to go with the electoral funding reform, or the electoral funding reform, but it was passed by the Parliament. It was the first thing put in front of us. We have a major amount of things to be dealing with. Friends Richter is not too happy. It brings small changes to the criteria for the allocation of the campaign budgets and introduces no changes to the total amount of public funds reserved for political parties. So we're seeing that the USP is hijacking the elections with its new public funding. We are simply investing the people's money more efficiently in the political system. We're not going to start upending too many things right off the bat. And anyway, we're enabling constitutional reform that is supported by people like Friends Richter. So he's not going to scupper constitutional reform just because we went mad with the Electoral Spending Act. We have a discussion of the potential infrastructure project that we have supported in Lackavin. The seaside state residence, fittingly named the Blue Mansion, was large, fine and accommodating as we look towards the Marcian Sea from Lakeven. But enjoying the luxurious mansion wasn't the main reason of our visit. We gathered the economic team here to discuss the new infrastructure investment project. Half an hour had already passed since the start of the meeting. Unfortunately, I did not even have the chance to have my usual afternoon coffee. Looking at the view from the windows, I let my mind drift for a couple of seconds. Simon's voice brought me back into the ongoing discussion. We need to focus on boosting the economy as quickly as possible. One of the fastest ways to achieve this is through infrastructure projects. Agreed. On the one hand, businessmen are complaining about the slow logistical rail network between Hull Sword and Lakeven. I've seen a number of complaints about that. On the other hand, citizens are criticising the lack of a proper highway connection between Lakeven and Arveroy. The narrow roads by the seaside are not only dangerous, but also difficult to traverse. We need to heed the calls of our businesses in these days of recession. We need to pick the most profitable option for economic growth. The citizens and their demands matter most. We're not going to be able to get this country out of a recession by driving to the beach. We need to heed the calls of our businesses. This is a very peculiar planned economy we're planning. Improving the rail connection from Hull Sword to Lakeven would be much more beneficial to our economy. It is not business people who are suffering now, but ordinary folk. The business people will make money, and it will traverse down by train to the ordinary people, traverse down economics. What really matters is that your first economic act accomplishes something tangible. We must prove our capabilities. The people must know that this administration can get things done. We must improve the economy of the nation and bring it out of recession. For the people, we're going to build trains for businesses for the people. To that point, I define two important projects for your attention: the H3 Highway Project and the L1 High Speed Railway Project. Mr. Hall repositioned himself on his chair. The ministry can only support one project at a time with our current capacity and budget. Let's move on to the details of each. So, which one do you want to hear about first? Tell me about the Highway Project. Tell me about the Highway Project. It aims to improve the abysmal state of the road network in the England region bordering Agnolia. The area is home to several million Agno-Sordish and Sordish citizens who currently feel neglected. There are no proper highway connections to and from England. The mayor of Arveroy, Eric Neal, has been asking for a bigger budget to develop the regional infrastructure. He told us that even trucks are having a hard time travelling through the main roads. The increased traffic is causing trouble for people commuting in and out of the region. We can't leave the request of Eric Neal, a party member, unanswered. That must be cumbersome to the citizens. I agree. This could also hurt local businesses. I'm not sure if this region should be a priority for us right now. Well, it could also hurt local businesses. It is, bless their souls. I'm happy we're thinking alike on the matter. Let's take a more detailed look at the upgrade proposal. Look at the map. Lilas was pointing at Lakeven. Continue. The H3 railway route starts here in Lakeven, and from there it leads to Lenkerg, and from there it goes to Arveroy. As a result, the road network towards the Agnolian capital, Stahlport, will also improve substantially. She paused and leaned forward in her chair. As mayor, I saw the central government continuously neglect our country's Agno-Sordish dominated regions. Is this administration going to continue with that kind of negligence? We should no longer neglect a key region of our trade with Agnolia. Our Agno-Sordish citizens should be respected as swords. it makes little sense to put investments in such a remote region. I mean, if we could potentially build a strong trade-backed defense alliance in the region, we should no longer neglect a key region for our trade with Agnolia. Sure, but most goods flow to Lakevan and Hullsword, which means we should give more importance to logistics there. It has to be pointed out that the highway would be less beneficial in the short term. I have to disagree. It will increase the speed of transportation through the region. Our citizens will be quite pleased if we successfully accomplish this. Besides, if we enter trade talks with Agnolia, we will see the investment as a positive sign. Very interesting, but I still want to hear about the railway project. Your predecessor, Alfonso, failed to deliver on this campaign promise, but now we have the opportunity to start the construction of a groundbreaking railway project. As you know, our current trains cannot meet the standards of today, as many other countries adopt new electric engine technology. Good heavens, the future. To power their trains, we're falling behind. News about the new electric trains in United Contana has piqued our business's interest. They, too, want to transport resources and material from Hullsword to Lakevan with great speed and efficiency. Agreed, the superpowers have led the way with their high-quality technology. We must keep up. We must, but we're having problems generating power at the moment, so I don't know, is this a great thing to be getting into? I mean, we can always burn wood. Can we burn wood to power the trucks? I don't know. We could burn trucks to power the trucks. This could also empower business and bring investment. The major cities of Sordland need more infrastructure to support their growing populations. Superpowers have led the way. Only technological advancement will give us an edge in the international arena. It's a pity that all of our books burned as well, so our plan is to upgrade the old L1 line from Hullsword to Lakevan. It will transform into a high-speed railway. Look at the map. Gus was pointing at Hullsword. The planned construction starts right here in the capital. From there, it will go to Anrica. Where the hell is Anrica? There we go. And then Gelsord. Then it will reach Lakevan, our economic powerhouse. He leaned forward. The L1 will significantly boost the economics of the newly linked cities and even the rural areas in between Lakevan. Lakevan is our primary port, so the goods unloaded there will be transported to Hullsword much faster. Yes, we should link these rural areas in the middle with major cities of Hullsword. We are talking about the wealthiest regions and forgetting about England, which needs the investment far more. The mayor of Anrica, Tarquain Leste, also requested this project be prioritised. Businessmen in the region will be very content, which in turn will increase investments and employment. Therefore, I recommend the L1 high-speed rail project. I have settled on my decision. What will your final choice be? We will go with the L1. I have a feeling we're going to be bringing in a lot of measures which are going to start to piss off a lot of people. And the peasants have less newspapers to write bad things about me in. The right choice, Mr. President. The negotiations will begin in the middle of this year. You will be able to award the contract to a corporation of your choice. The ministry estimates that construction will be completed in 2 years if every step going forward is executed successfully. What's the chances of that? What's the chances of that, Simon? Simon, answer me. Bye guys, thanks for calling around. We now have the ability to invest in Arcassian company stocks. I wonder, is this because we know that there's a railroad being built? A personal investment opportunity has been relayed by Mr. Manger, what was he to Alfonso? Oh yeah, Gus. We were literally just talking to him. Yeah, Gus has heard that a high-speed rail line is going to be built between Hullsword and Lakevan. Was he, what was he? He was the adjusted position of Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development in our administration. Was he Minister for the Economy? Minister for Development under Alfonso? An experienced stockbroker in Ventry City, Arcasia, is selling valuable shares of Armadine Industries, an up-and-coming electronics manufacturing company. That's all my personal wealth. I am staking my entire personal wealth on Armadine, which I presume we will be given opportunities to influence. Go on. The reception at the inaugural ball. I had just finished buying shares when the doorbell rang. The Presidential Guard had arrived to pick us up for the inaugural ball. Whenever the Presidential Guard arrives at the house, you never know whether they're going to take you out back or take you to the inaugural ball. The ball was a 3-decade-old tradition, breathlessly anticipated by politicians, bureaucrats, and the press. All eyes were about to be on me. I called on Monica to get the children ready. Looking in the mirror, I straightened my tie and took a deep breath. After tonight, there would be no turning back. Suddenly, Dina hugged me from behind, startling me a little. Monica had fixed her hair into an elaborate braid, woven through with ribbons. "Papa, Mama told me it's time to go." Where's your brother?" "Still upstairs, the devil." The big ball was starting in less than an hour. "Darling, Frank, it is time." Yeah, where's the First Lady?" Monica came down the stairs, wearing a simple yet elegant beige sheath dress and short heels. Her hair had been neatly pinned into a chignon. I'm not fancy enough to know what that is. Showing off the pearl earrings I had given her for our 15th anniversary. All those years she had stayed by my side. Now we were about to begin the most challenging chapter in our lives. "How do you do, Mr. President?" Kiss her hand. She extended a gloved hand and I raised it to my lips. "Now where the hell is Frank?" "We'll tell her she looks nice. And we will leave without Frank. We will forget, and then Frank will have his own Home Alone adventure." Frank, I was expecting, from the description, I was expecting Frank was like 4. "This thing itches." Frank tugged at the collar of his new tuxedo. He seemed ill at ease. "Are you good to go, Frank? I'm glad to have you with us for the big night. Don't make me wait again, or the Presidential Guard will take you out back." "I'm glad to have you with us for the big night." "Sure, Dad, I'm just dying to go." "Papa, are these people going to be around us now, from now on?" She pointed at the Presidential Guards. Uh-oh. "Yes, Sordland's most important family needs extra protection. Unfortunately, yes. They can't leave our side until my term ends. You'll get used to it. These people are our friends, Dina." "It's all right. They're here to make sure nothing bad happens to Papa or his family." Together, flanked by guards, we walk out the door halfway to the car. Frank is shot. Oh no, he stops abruptly and turns around towards me. "Dad, do I really have to go? Couldn't I stay at home instead?" "I'm nervous myself, Frank." "Frank isn't nervous. Frank just wants to stay home and eat pizza and watch telly. But I'd feel a lot more confident with my son by my side. It's a party thrown for me. Don't you want to support your father? Guilt him. That's it. Guilt him. You'll love it, son. I'm sure there'll be plenty of pretty girls to dance with." "Don't make me destroy you, Frank." "I'm nervous myself, Frank. We will totally misread the situation." Frank smiled reluctantly. "Well, when you put it like that, sure, let's go." A Presidential Guard showed us the way as red and blue lights flashed around us. Serge, I forgot about Serge. My driver ushered us into the armoured limousine. The motorcade started to drive away. "Anton, what are you thinking about?" "Nothing. Nice car, isn't it? I wonder who owns it." With all the things that's been happening, I'm wondering if I made the right choice. Yes. I clicked on some choices, and I'm wondering if I made the right ones. They keep shoving buttons in my face, and I keep pressing them, and it's like, oh no, lines are going up and down. Monica, what am I doing? I know you have a lot in your mind, but you deserve to relax tonight. Just remember, no matter what happens, the children and I will always be here for you. You're going to help nothing. Frank rolled his eyes. Frank will be the first to go. This means a great deal to me. Let's enjoy the night, yeah. I'm going to get plastered and wake up on the presidential table tomorrow morning, the desk in my office. The convoy slowed to a halt. Serge rolled down the limousine's soundproof partition. We are here, sir. Hope you enjoyed the drive. I did, Serge. Thank you. Yeah, how are you today? Yeah. How's Strix? How's the family? I'm just as good as I can be, but today is your day, sir. I'm glad you are in charge now. Serge, I'm sure you say that to all the girls. You know, my entire family voted for you. Good to know, Serge. Thank you and your family. I am here with all of your support. I won't let your family down, sir. Oh, let's not make promises like that. Thank you, Serge. No reason to thank me, sir. You were the one who sparked a glimmer of hope in us all. Serge, open the door for me. The normally imposing palace was festooned with garish banners that nearly made it look cheerful. A line of shiny luxury sedans stretched around it. Politicians, bureaucrats, and celebrities, the creme de la creme of the Sordland elite, all of them with lengthy codex entries, streamed inside the building. Good look out there, Mr. President. I'll see you on the trip home. We'll say goodbye. Because maybe he plans to, like, take the rest of the evening off. And we were like, oh, we'll see you later in the evening. He's like, oh, no, I have to come back now. I stepped out and immediately found myself surrounded by loud voices and camera flashes. Hordes of eager journalists thrust their portable microphones my way. My guards fended most of them off, but one woman managed to dodge them and corner me. I recognized the Swordish Broadcasting Company logo on her press lanyard. Mr. President, Mr. President. Do you plan on working together with the opposition parties on the expected constitutional reforms? Punch her in the face. Scream assassin and punch her. My administration will bring real change. The night is for celebration. I'm not going to talk about my policies now. If the opposition is willing to support us, we are going to work with everybody. Yeah, we are willing to work with everybody. Mr. Richter clarified that as long as you hold your promises of democratization, they will support you on these issues to the end. What do you think about this statement? Treason. I welcome it. It's a challenge for us all. We want the other parties to join him in this endeavour. Honestly, I don't expect much from him. I can't comment since I haven't seen his statement yet. Well, we have promised to democratize. I think we see fairly eye to eye with Mr. Richter. It's kind of interesting. Sordland politics is also slightly defined by its civil war. So you have the major kind of civil war party that has emerged, but it has a number of factions which could... I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if the United Sordland Party splintered apart into and joined up with the various other groupings that have kind of formed around it. But it seems, at the moment, a small bit defined by the Civil War in the fact that there is one major party, as opposed to, we'll say, two opposing parties that took opposing sides in the Civil War. So I'm going to say I welcome it. One more question. One of your first acts as president was to sign a campaign finance law allocating public election funds by seat in the assembly as opposed to number of votes. Is this a deliberate attempt to defund the Communist Party and the Blude Workers' Party, neither of which have reached their election threshold? I have never heard of any of those two organisations. A sheet of paper was put in front of me. I don't read the things I sign. I don't know. Somebody told me to sign it. I signed it. They told me this is a good bill. It was agreed on by the majority of the GNA. I couldn't use my veto on the first day. That is literally what I was thinking. I did not read it. Okay, I did read, but I forgot the newspaper articles in which Friends Richter had opposed it. I remember looking at the bill thinking, I'm not really gone on Section 4. Do you know what? I'm not really gone on Section 1 either. But I can't use my veto on the first day. That's literally it. That's enough, ma'am, said one of my guards while punching her in the face. A path through the crowd was now open, and we quickly made our way to the entrance of the palace. At the same time, a dozen fireworks went off. Somebody threw themselves in front of the president to protect him, and then looked really silly when he discovered it wasn't an assassination attempt. A lush maroon carpet had been rolled down the stairs. We entered the lobby and joined the throngs of people making their way towards the ballroom. As I navigated through the crowd, a familiar figure stepped into my path. It was Bernard Circasse, the acclaimed poet, and a short story writer, and novelist, and playwright, and communist. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, he doesn't have any money now. Congratulations, President Rain, a remarkable achievement indeed. Bernard, you have to believe me, I forgot, I didn't read the newspapers enough. The true test begins now, don't you think? I appreciate your congratulations, but from one former Red Youth member to another, we both know our work has just begun. Thank you, Mr. Circasse. We've both come a long way from our Red Youth days, haven't we? I'm now president, you have a mustache. Yes, we have, but some things never change, do they? I can't help but wonder how the winds of change will blow in our Sordland now that you've taken the helm. Perhaps now is the time that our long-nurtured dream of revolution will finally become a reality. Revolution, Mr. Circasse? Let's hope it's a peaceful one, for the sake of both Sordland and its new president. Sordland needs progress, not revolution. Revolution, small bit of revolution. Any upheaval will endanger our chance of improvement. You might be onto something, Bernard, but tonight, let's put politics aside and enjoy the evening. Revolution or not, it's a night for unity. Let's hope it's a peaceful one. You mustn't forget, to ride towards the sun is to invite flame, yet only through the fiery pearl can true glory be found. The light of it binds us all. That is the weight of your new role. I've taken up enough of your time, President Rain. This is your night after all. Your family, friends, and country await. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Enjoy your evening. Until we meet again. And he goes back into the shadows where the communists live. Were they mere poetic expressions, his words, or a reflection of the real socialist sentiments stirring within the country? Behind me, I heard a familiar voice. It's Peter Vectron. Dina runs to Uncle Peter, as does Frank, but Frank's trying to be cool, because Frank's a moody teenager. The two are growing faster than I am getting wiser. Are you sure you've gotten any wiser, Peter? Maybe not. After all, I'm still sticking with you. Happy to see a familiar face. Peter's wife, Evelyn, approached us and shook our hands with a firmness that belied her delicate features. Congratulations, Anton. I have to say the results were clear to me from the beginning. Thank you. We both worked hard to make it happen. We know you did. You deserve the position. And tonight we reap the rewards. Exactly. That's why we're here. We could start by getting some drinks. Peter, I'd say Peter's been on the drink since 12 o'clock. Peter's been on the drink since he offered drink in the presidential palace. He was sculling the bottle at that stage. Monica, how are you? You've barely said a word. I'm more than relieved to have this roller coaster ride over with, but of course, now the real work begins. Ah yes, managing the help, planning parties' daily trips to the salon to look your best for foreign dignitaries. Don't be so old-fashioned, Evelyn. I plan to use my power as First Lady to advance the position of women throughout Sordland. Equal rights for our sex are long overdue, wouldn't you say, Anton? That would be an ecumenical matter. As long as you don't burn the roast, am I right, Peter? Oh. And then our dead bodies turn up the next morning. Up to a point, yes, absolutely, and we'll work together to achieve it. That's my wife, never content to be just a pretty face. We will absolutely work to achieve equality. Monica flashed me a smile. Dina suddenly jumped in between us and tugged on my sleeve. Papa, can we go? I want to see the ballroom. Slap her. Now, of course, darling. Move to the ballroom. We left the lobby and made our way towards the ballroom. Inside, we were yet again surrounded by a noisy crowd, but this time it was the politicians who sought to appease the new authority in Sordland. I spent the next few hours shaking hands, joining various conversations, some serious, some superficial, and making speeches. We finally settled down at our dinner table with the Vectrans as the band started playing some slow jazz tunes. Oof, that was tiring. We have to get used to it. You're tired already. Another drink, Peter. Another drink. Well. Suddenly, a loud banging noise echoed from outside the ballroom, then another one, and another. The musicians stopped playing. Everyone in the room was looking around in confusion. Peter and I turned towards each other, realization dawning on both our faces. Fireworks? No! Gunshots! As soon as Monica heard the word, she lunged from her seat. Get down! We will shield Monica and the kids. I threw myself on Monica, Dina and Frank to shield them. Papa, what's happening? I knew it. We never should have come. So Frank is in with some bad kids, and they are now hunting him down. Chaos broke out amongst the guests, as some of the guests flung themselves under their tables and others ran towards the doors screaming. Dina burst into tears while Frank tried to comfort her, hiding the fear in his own eyes. 3 more gunshots rang out loudly. Mr. President, are you all right? Says Karl Greiser, who gets an entry. The head of the Swordish police force was running towards us with 3 more police officers in decorated uniform. They all had their guns drawn. He was sworn in by Lilas Graf, who was trying to get us to build highways to England. He was appointed Deputy Commissioner of Operations in 1940, and in 47 transferred to the capital and briefly served as Inspector and Chief of Detectives before he was appointed as Chief of Police in 47. As soon as he made it to us and saw that we were unharmed, he let out a big sigh of relief. Thank God. My pension is safe. What the hell is going on? Status report. Check the perimeter. He turned around quickly to his men. Check the perimeter. It's great being Chief of Police. It's great being President. You can tell other people what to do. And it's great being Chief of Police. You can tell other people what to do when you're told what to do. Paul, Jensen, follow my lead. We will bring them to the safe room. He now turned to Monica, Evelyn, and the children and spoke in a softer voice. Do not worry. The situation is now under control. Please follow me. Could this be a police coup? We promptly followed Karl through the winding halls and corridors of the palace. His men still had their guns drawn, which did nothing to ease the tension. On the way, Peter made an attempt to break the silence. Peter, not now. Peter, you've had too much to drink. Peter, no. Peter, now is not the time. You can say that again. It's not over yet, Peter. Karl turned to us with a serious face as we were about to round a corner. Quiet, please. Sorry, I talk when I had too much to drink. Peter, shut up! Karl flipped a switch on the wall, and a panel opened, revealing a hidden staircase leading to a large reinforced door. Inside, A set of emergency lights flickered on. The safe room was comfortable and spacious, with expensive-looking leather sofas. Small security monitors on the wall displayed grainy footage of each room in the palace. There was a boardroom and a pantry containing enough provisions to last us months. Monica and Evelyn sat the children down and started wiping their tears. Carl stepped away from us and made a few radio calls. Then, when he was done, he returned to me and Peter. So, what's the status? Not the best inauguration ball I've been to. Not the worst inauguration ball I've been to. It would have been great if they were the two options. Are we under attack? Who's attacking us? What is going on? So tell me, Carl, do I have clowns for a security force? Oh no, poor Carl. So what's the status? I don't think the Anton Rain that we're playing as is too mean or too kind of hyped up. So what is the status? Carl's radio suddenly crackled to life. Every second felt like an eternity as he pressed his ear to the receiver. When it fell silent, he turned to us. Good news. We are not in any danger at the moment. The situation has been dealt with, and the perimeter has been secured by the guards and the police. He glanced towards Monica, Evelyn, and the kids. If I may, sir. He gestured towards a more private corner of the room and started speaking more quietly. This is what we know so far. We have confirmed that 2 people were gunned down in front of the palace. The attacker is one of them, and we have reason to believe he was working alone. He fired 3 shots at an MP. 1 to the head, 2 to the body, instantly killing him. Presidential guards at the palace immediately shot and killed the attacker. He has not been identified yet and will require an investigation. The MP that was killed was identified as Bernard Circas. This is huge, Anton. This will cause a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Peter pulled out 2 cigarettes and handed me one. He then turned to Evelyn. I could hear him trying to reassure her that everything was going to be all right. Monica was still trying to tend to Dina and Frank, as Frank paced the room, mumbling that he should have stayed at home. Peter, old friend, what the hell have we gotten ourselves into? Comfort Monica and the kids, as opposed to confront them and accuse them of being in league with the assassin. Nothing like this will ever happen again. I'll make sure of it. We're safe. I'll make sure everything's going to be fine. We can't promise. That's a check we can't. We can write, but we can't cash. Well, nobody else can cash it either. We can't be sure of anything anymore, Anton. I lit my cigarette and took a deep drag. I was going to see this through and keep my family safe. At all costs. I crushed the cigarette on the ashtray. What a crazy way to begin our first few days in office with an act which has been accused of limiting the power of some political parties, or the influence and the funding of some political parties, and an assassination. We have some news in the newspaper. Sordland today, MP shot, nation in shock. Sordland has been shocked by grave news today as an elected member of parliament has been shot dead in a suspected political assassination. Police sirens were heard round the clock today as the Hullsword police force increased security measures around the capital. The fact that such a violent act happened at the heart of the capital during the new president's inauguration celebrations has worried many citizens. The Red Youth has reported to have promised revenge. This seems like it has the potential to spark what would swirl Sordland into the political violence of the 1920s. And in a much smaller corner of the front page, President Rain welcomes Friends Richter's words of support for constitutional reform. So our connections in the legislature. So I'm wondering what has actually happened now that... what's happened with the communists? They will presumably have to go off and appoint a new leader. So there's Friends Richter. There's the Speaker of the Assembly of the USP. There's the NFP, more USP, spokesman of the Independents. There's our cabinet, there's the various factions, so Hawker is in charge of the Old Guard, we have the Reformists. Oh, so these are the actual factions in the Parliament itself, we'll say. So there's the Reformist faction, the Oligarchs, led by Walter Tusk, who's the Lotharburg spokesperson. Maybe these are just kind of like general factions. And this is what I was wondering about. Here's the members of the Supreme Court. So we have a Reformist, a Centrist, and 2 Old Guard are the notable members. So it doesn't have... We were told that we needed a 6-person... We needed 6 of the 11. There we go. So we have 5 Old Guard. So we would need to bring every single Centrist and Reformist in. If we were... I can't imagine how we could possibly sway the Old Guard. But that's something we'll have to watch, is to make sure we don't accidentally add another Old Guardist to the Supreme Court. Because then we're not going to be able to oust them. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen to poor Bernard's seat. Is it going to be automatically filled by somebody? Will somebody step in automatically to fill that seat? And the next thing that we have to open up the next episode will be an emergency meeting on the assassination of Bernard Circasse. I'm going to leave it there for this episode. Thank you very much for joining me. What a crazy, crazy start. I'm quite enjoying it. I'm quite enjoying... You can see with some of the options how they are going to lead you in one direction or another. Now, I imagine there is no absolutely perfect optimal strategy or optimal way to play this. There's always going to be give and take. There's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be decisions which will make some people happy, some people unhappy. And playing a perfectly level, perfectly balanced game will be just as bad as going hell for leather, supporting one faction over the other. So we have already started making concessions to big business in a number of areas. We're not going to lock them down entirely. I do imagine there is going to be some privatization of major state industry, important state services, but we're not going to be going too hard or too far towards absolute planned economy. Then again, what is going to get kicked up by the assassination of Bernard Circasse? Who knows? Thank you very much for joining me on this episode, and I hope that you will join me on the next one, and possibly consider joining the Sordland police force, because I need good, loyal people close to me going forward.